right, Donald Trump takes another hit in the Hawkeye state with in 2 days showing the presidential candidate Ben Carson in the state that kicks off the nominating process, leaving Trump a little stumped. Take a listen.
Well, I was very surprised to see it. You know, I was in Iowa last night. We had 4,000 people. It was packed. It was great. It was a love fest. It was amazing. And I was actually surprised. I'm not saying that a thing like that can't happen, but I was very, very surprised to see it because I think we're doing well in Iowa.
All right, Steve Forbes, Jack Howe, and Jeff Smith are back with us. Steve Forbes, it was a love fest. But
crowds can mislead you as a candidate.
Really? Yes.
Look at Mitt Romney in 2012. The crowds they got, he and Paul Ryan, in the last week or so were about 10 times what they expected. And that's why they really thought they were going to win the thing. And in terms of Iowa especially, that's a caucus state. In the middle of the winter, you have to have ground forces to get those people out. So nice to have the crowd, but it does not translate necessarily into caucus votes.
Jack, do you think this is the beginning of a fade for Donald Trump? Because a lot of people have predicted that along the way, and then it doesn't happen.
Yeah, the fade has to be coming. I mean, I think
why does it have to be coming?
I still think it's the silly season when people are. Not everyone's going to respond to a poll. Not everyone follows these things closely, and people, the name recognition might take the day when people are called for a poll. I think Trump.
Well, then why is Ben Carson winning? I mean, if name recognition takes the day, he's the least known guy out there.
Because Donald Trump has failed to convince evangelical Christians of his Bible chops, whereas Ben Carson has done it. Donald Trump can carry around that Bible all he wants. This is my favorite book.
No, terrible. No bad Trump impressions. Nope, I'm stopping you. No bad Trump impressions.
You told me I had a good Trump.
No, Charlie Gasparino he's the worst Trump, and you just did a worse Trump than
really
Charlie.
Good.
That was terrible. Jeff Smith, save him, please.
Well, let me just pick up on what Steve said about caucuses. They're very different from just going into a voting booth and pulling the curtain. You're committing to go out in the middle of a frigid Iowa winter and stand there for 3 or 4 hours while you debate all these arcane party rules and procedures. It's not just a simple thing to go vote. And what that means is that a lot of these low information voters that are currently supporting Donald Trump are probably not going to be so keen on the idea of a 3 or 4 hour commitment in January. So I agree.
Why do you assume they're low information?
Well, I don't just assume it. I mean, a lot of the research shows that they're lower education levels. He's doing better among that segment of the Republican primary electorate. And so you equate low education with low information? I don't know. People out there might not necessarily agree with you on that one. But Steve Forbes, let me ask you. Rand Paul was making the point earlier, very similar, about going out to the caucuses and that he had a lot of students already lined up on campuses that were ready to go out, and that's what it's really about in Iowa. Is that what we're seeing materialize for Trump here?
Well, we'll see in the next couple of months whether Trump puts a real game plan in Iowa. He's got some people there, but he doesn't have the field forces that some of these other candidates have. Yeah. And so if he ramps that up, then he could make a good showing. Ben Carson could very easily win because of social conservatives in Iowa. That's why so many candidates like Jeb Bush, Chris Christie, and others are betting everything on New Hampshire. Yeah, Jeb Bush fading right now, it seems like, for sure, and we're hearing a lot about him having to cut back on his finances after surging, raising money. Do you think it's the beginning of the end for him? They're going to have an emergency meeting this weekend. He's got to ramp up that campaign, come out hitting Obama hard and taking his proposals, making them very sexy and hit hard. Because when you see those debates, it's bland, 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 except for the people who are on top. Real quickly, both of you, where do you think that the dust settles on the Republican side? I mean, who do you think comes out on top?
Right now, Trump and Carson are absorbing fire for Jeb Bush. He will emerge as the comeback kid. In the beginning of the race, he was the guy who was going to be, crowned president. People didn't like that. As the comeback kid, people will like him. I think you're insane. His campaign is flailing right now. What are you talking about, Jack? I don't think you're a lunatic. I don't think he's going to dismiss. Who let you on this program? That may be, but I don't think. Okay. Don't forget, double Bush versus double Clinton. Yeah. Don't forget. Jeff.
There's a higher percentage of Republican primary voters that say they will not vote for Jeb Bush under any circumstance than any other candidate right now. I think Rubio is ultimately the only one who can appeal across the spectrum. We're going to leave it there. Connell.
Now, if we have any viewers left after Jack's Trump impression and all the rest that's gone on here, we have a terrific segment. The best of the segments coming up next. That's right.